Record to this. Hi, everyone. My name is Samaya with UX Woman, and I'm here with Daniela. And we're here to talk about the Spring 2025 UX Woman cohort. So, Daniela, can you tell me a little bit about your journey into UX and what was exciting about UX?
So my journey into UX was I didn't know a lot about it. I came in very blindly to it. I knew there was a lot of potential. I had heard so much information about it, but I just didn't really know the logistics or what it truly was. So going into UX Woman, I learned everything about it, like the core of it, what it was, and how much opportunity there really is out there. And I thought with my background in education, I was like, I don't know if I can go into something like this, but it actually came in hand in hand once I truly went through the process and I saw how much where I come from can contribute into UX.
Yeah, I'd love to hear more about that. So, what transferable skills from education are you bringing into your UX career?
So I think definitely the research portion and talking to people, the role of like leading and being able to gather information, talking to people, from surveys to even creating like a journey map and being able to identify the problems and how you can help make a solution for the problem because you are talking to people one on one and really gathering that personal information that you can help make something valuable.
Perfect. Okay, that's amazing. And as you were sort of getting into UX and getting into the UX Woman cohort, what did you choose as your project topic and why did you choose that topic?
So once I started, it was difficult to come up with an idea because there's so many things. When you think about solving a problem, all these things come to your head. So once I narrowed it down to like two ideas, it was based on like where I live. So one idea was like for trains and subways, and another idea was something more personal to me and something that I struggle with and I still see many people struggling with, which is creating something for parents and children that are on the spectrum or that have difficulty speaking so that they can communicate effectively and be able to go outside, enjoy regular things that everyone else gets to do.
Yeah, I really love that topic because it focuses on education and it kind of helps you with, talking about your education career and why you chose to work in this topic. But it's also deeply personal and it's such a differentiated topic. Not many people are solving this problem. I'm not sure many education companies are aware that this problem exists. So as you were talking to folks, what were the themes that were coming up and what made you certain, okay, this is the problem I want to solve?
So the main thing came up was how isolated parents felt, how their kids felt isolated. They wanted their kids to reach milestones. Then how can they help their kids reach those milestones? Something like as easy as going to the store is so difficult for parents who deal with these situations. So how can something help them achieve those things and maybe even more so that their kids are big enough they can be able to do things that everyone else does without difficulty and really integrate them into the world.
Wow, that's amazing. And what was your research process like? So, who did you talk to? How did you, distill your themes? And how did you come up with your solution?
So I spoke to a lot of parents. I also spoke to teachers, different educators. I spoke to therapists as well that work in school with children. And I really was able to get a perspective from, basically the team that holds down everything for these kids. So it was good insight where you're getting information from teachers who are struggling in areas that want to help the kids, and parents are also trying to do the same, but they just don't know exactly how to do it and how to make it functional from an everyday perspective.
Yeah, yeah. And I'm sure as you were uncovering these problems, multiple solutions came to mind. So how did you sort of diverge and come up with all the solutions possible? And then how did you scope down your MVP solution?
So what I ended up doing was just putting everything on a Figma and a bunch of sticky notes and just everywhere. So it was person and this person and that person, and then I just started adding everything into groups like themes, for example. So loneliness, feeling like you're neglected, their kids and reaching milestones as quick or as normal as they could, like those type of things. So once I started getting those patterns and being like two or three like were the main ones, then that's when I realized I was like, okay, maybe this isn't so much about kids, but it's about both. Then that's when I had that kind of aha moment that it had to be a dual app. So it's for both users, not just one. So the parent and the child, and how I can be able to create something for both of them to use.
That is a really, really great insight. And I'm sure it's the parent that's going to be onboarding and signing up for the app and paying for the app. So, what are the differences between the parent perspective of the app versus the child perspective?
So, for example, for the parent, you are able to filter in information. So, you know your child best, you know your child's triggers, for example, loud noise this. So, you want to find a space that is very calm, it's a quiet environment. So, you're able to filter those things. And you can also put things that your child likes. So, when your child accomplishes each task, they're rewarded with things that is already their preference. So, it won't just throw something random on your kid and maybe your kid wants nothing to do with that. A lot of kids who have sensory needs are very picky and they have very precise on what they like, what they don't like. So the more that you cater to that, the easier the path goes.
Okay, that's amazing. And from the kids' perspective, what is the experience like?
So they get to check off each task. So it's very kid friendly. It's colorful. It's friendly. It's also sensory friendly. So the lighting, it's not too much for them, but it's just child enough for them to engage. And then they once they complete each task, they're able to check it off themselves and immediately get rewarded for it. So the screen will pop up, they'll get celebrated for it and get their reward. And as they get rewards, they build like a sticker collection. And based on that, it's how they go up levels. So it's like a game for them.
Okay, okay, I love that. So, you chose to use your education background to create an education app, a social app, and also like a gamified app. It kind of sits at the center of all these three different themes, which I think is really exciting. And it's a new approach to education because we just see the same old in education apps all the time. So I really like that this has social components and gamified components as well. And I think social learning is something that we just don't think about much, that this app completely covers. And I guess I'm curious, once you started to build this app in Figma and build a prototype, how did you tweak the app? How did you make changes? How did how did it result in your final product?
So the design portion in the beginning was not, I wouldn't say difficult, I just couldn't get the hang of it, right? So at first I was like, oh my goodness, this is not gonna turn out the way I want it to look like. And everyone else was getting it, like they were just building like their wireframe so nicely. They started like prototyping the beginning, and it was just like it's just not. And it was like the sizing of my screen wasn't there. I couldn't get the iPhone 13. I was picking the other one, so the margins weren't there. But once you really start trying, so I dedicated a lot of time. I was like, okay, this is obviously my weakness, so I have to set time apart and just try and try and mess around with it. And I don't know how many times I had to like get out and try again, but I got the hang of it. And then once I did get it, then I started like building wireframes and different screens, and then that's when low fidelity, high fidelity screens came in. I was able to do it, and I was really surprised, but I was really proud of myself at the same time. So I was like, wow, I was able to do it. Like it was hard, but you can do it.
Yeah, and I think it showed in your work. It looked very professional. Even though this app is for kids and very colorful, you could still tell that a professional built this app and it wasn't, something that was thrown together. So I think that was really great to see your transition in UX and Figma and, really just being patient with it and keep iterating because that's sometimes what it takes. And it was good that you recognized this is my weakness, so I need to put in more time. I guess what advice would you give, students or career changers like yourself looking to break into UX? And what would you kind of tell them to, be prepared for this career change?
I think the best thing I can tell anyone that wants to do it is don't give up. Like try. Definitely give it what you got. Go for it. I didn't know anything about it. I barely knew information about it, but if you dedicate yourself to it and this is something that you truly want to achieve, like this is for you 100%. Like you guys give all the help that you need. You know, I had a great mentor. You are amazing as well, always checking up on us, being present and stuff. So I feel like when you have that motivation and you know that somebody wants you to win, you yourself like give more because you're like, yeah, like they're pushing me, I can do it. And obviously you become friends with the people that you're learning with. So they're like, oh, actually do this. Oh, this worked for me. And it's nice to have that because it feels like, yeah, we're learning together. That we can do it.
Yeah, definitely. I really like that. And I'm curious, how are you approaching the job search now that you've gone through the end-to-end design curriculum, you've built a product 0 to 1? What's the job search like? I know it can be very challenging.
Yeah, so it does take a little bit of time, of course. It's not something that, happens one day to another. Working on your portfolio is very important. I think you need to stay very active, like keep applying, don't give up, look for different roles, the job descriptions, what are they looking for, tweak your information to kind of fit what they're looking for, and you just have to, keep trying until you land something. And I feel like it's just a matter of time.
Yeah, yeah. And it sounds like, you've had some practice with interviews, putting yourself out there. What has that taught you so far in the job search, and how are you kind of implementing that into your improving the job search, your tactics to the job search moving forward?
For like the job search, I think interviewing has been great. Like even if I didn't get a call back or I haven't heard, like a definite answer, it's definitely good practice because that way you know what they're looking for. Even if yours is applying for the research or the design position, it kind of gives you something to work on and study. Like, okay, maybe if I would have answered this question different or if I was more prepared, it could have gone a little better. So that's how I took it as, and I'm just, learning as I'm going. Um, when I speak, I try to speak as confident as I can. You gotta fake it till you make it sometimes. It
Yeah.
is nerve-wracking. Um, you obviously want the job, so you just want to try and give it your best. But I feel like the right thing comes at the right time. So,
Yeah, I agree with that. I think the right opportunity will land to you if you keep putting in the work and showing up consistently, which it sounds like you are. I guess, yeah, I think to wrap up this conversation, uh, what would you, tell students, I guess, as like a last piece of advice about the job search or a career change?
I think if you're looking to change your career, this is definitely the right opportunity. I, I'm a mom now, and I came from the education field, and this is something that's right up like my path. So don't doubt it. I think just try it. You will learn more than you can think. So it's worth it.
Okay. Thank you so much, Daniela. I really appreciate this.
My pleasure. Thank you so much for everything.
Thank you. I'll pause the recording.